Hardcore Lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you. It is week 311. I'm your Wednesday night host here at BodyBags. And this week, yep, it's Fulci once again. 1977, The Psychic. And if you already know, Scorpian just put out a great release of this film. And in terms of the extras, you can kind of look behind me and see what's going on there with the commentary. With his historian there, or one of, Troy Howarth, which is just an incredible commentary. And of course, Dardano Sacchetti's interview there. Anyways, it's a pretty good release, but this is what it looks like, of course. Reversible artwork inside, and really, the transfer looks pretty good. But anyways, The Psychic. Lucio Fulci, 1977. It is a film that will follow up on 4 other films beginning in 1969 on top of one another, or The Perversion Story, A Lizard in a Woman's Skin in 71, and in 72, of course, Don't Torture a Duckling, perhaps some consider his masterpiece. In 72, of course, those efforts will culminate in the 77 film, this Giallo. They're all Giallos, and this one really deals with some interesting things underneath, and we'll get to that. But anyways, written, of course, and by both Fulci and Sacchetti together, and composed in part by Ferzetti, one of 3 guys, and the cinematographer, of course, is Ferzetti. Now, we know these 4 names here, Fulci, Sacchetti, Frizzo, and Ferzetti, will be so instrumental. That'll be the core, Rosso in the special effects, right? But the core of what we'll commonly referred to as the Gates of Hell trilogy to come, just around the corner here from 77, right? First Zombie Must Come, and then, yes, the rest is history, right? Fulci will finally get a taste of some real spotlight, I guess, in a way. This movie, though, in particular, stars Jennifer O'Neill as Virginia, and Gianni Garko as Francesco, her husband. Marc, I guess, Luca. He is a parapsychologist in this film who will basically work with Virginia, and Emilio, played by Gabriele Ferzetti, and really there's others, but I'll leave it at that. I guess the 3 main, really the 3 most important, is Virginia, Francesco, her husband, and Luca, the parapsychologist. And what we really have here in terms of plot structure, I'm just, this is a giallo, and this is a good one, and one that ought not to be ruined if anyone out there has never seen this film. I really do not want to I would love to talk of the end and some of the progression up to the end, and this is just not the place to do it. I really want to preserve the integrity of really what is the giallo aspect of this film. It ought not to be ruined, because the very end, man, is like. But this is an interesting film, one free of the type of gore we get used to in some of his follow-up films, and even those that came before. It has kind of a slow burn mentality to it. Not really for me, but I know my wife had a hard time following it, although my son did not. And anyways, the plot. So really, I'm going to just tread really like I'm standing on extremely thin ice. And I'm just going to kind of give a setup. We're given a prologue in the beginning in which we see young Virginia as a little girl who is in Italy, while her mother, for whatever reason, we're not really told, is in England. And she actually is at the cliffside of, I guess, the cliffs of Dover. Just an incredible, I guess it's a panoramic shot, but it just looks absolutely gorgeous. But anyways, as her mother, and we don't know what she's struggling with internally, but as she approaches the cliffside with what we'll see to be an intent here to fall to her death, her daughter, who's in Italy, catches a vision of this, and she sees it as it's happening in real time. And so as her mother approaches the cliffside and falls over to her death, her daughter, she's seen the whole thing. And that's our prologue. It's really, I think, designed to set up these visions that she's been plagued with. We don't know for really how long or how intense. We're just given really one at the beginning. And we pick up now in I guess, modern day, right? And she is right at the beginning. She's seeing her husband, Francesco, off. He's presumably going off on a business trip of some sorts. And she's got some plans. She wants to do something nice for him. So, and we'll see this here in the following few minutes of the film. But when she says her goodbyes to him and he flies off, she gets in her car and she begins to drive to a summer cottage that her husband owns. And now this becomes no real secret here in the very beginning. But on her way to the summer cottage, she suddenly, as she's going through a tunnel, she is struck by a series of visions of pieces of just things that normally would not make any sense. A magazine on the floor, a broken mirror, a tipped over sort of bust of a head, the vision of a dead woman. Might be one of the most violent pieces in the film, aside from when her mother falls off the cliff. There's some other ones too. Footsteps, someone approaching her in a strange way. A vision of a man, and she begins, once she's free and clear of these visions, she is sort of safely pulled off the side of the road and really passed out, and a police officer has to, he comes up along the side and he basically wakes her up, and thus begins her attempt to begin to sort of unravel. But as she thinks upon these things are set into motion, and we will sort of, it's weird, it's like we will walk with her in this film, never really get out in front of her. We pretty much receive what she receives, and we're not given much more than that. So we can't really, we're not allowed to jump ahead of her and know what's coming. All we are given is what she is given. And it's a really an interesting film because we walk with her through this film. And so as the final moments come, we enjoy those final moments, or let's see, we go through those final moments with her. So that it is an interesting film from that perspective. Just the cinematography is, I mean, this is Savate. I mean, this is just awesome stuff. And Fulci's use of camera, his direction, just some of the overhead shots, and just as he sees this film layout. Now, it's interesting. Sacchetti is the writer here. Of course, they're beginning just an incredible, what will be an incredible friendship. These two, as well as, of course, Frizzo's in there, and Salvati, who's so close to him in terms of his camera and working with him in the cinematography. The heart and soul of this film, I think I can touch on without giving really anything away. And it's maybe the most amazing aspect of this film. And the issue here in this film is fate. The film was originally adapted from a book, or was being attempted to be put to screen from a book. I can't remember the title right off the top of my head, but the issue, it was just a complicated work between Sacchetti and Fulci, and they were having a very, very hard time developing what this would look like. And so here comes this conversation that both Fulci and Sacchetti have on the issue of fate. And Fulci clearly stands on the side of, well, you cannot avoid fate. You cannot thwart fate. Fate is something immovable. You cannot move it. You cannot go around it. It is what it is. And Sacchetti disagreed with him and said, no, you can thwart fate from time to time. You do have something to say about it from time to time. And the two, argued, and Fulci's end point is, prove it to me. You show me. And that really becomes the genesis of Sacchetti's work in developing this story that will become, known as, really it's the murder to the tune of the 7 black notes, but we know it as the psychic, right? And so this issue of fate, this conversation that is the genesis for what we'll have laid across before us, is the issue of fate. Can you or can you not? And from a directing point of view, Fulci's task is to undermine Sacchetti, and Sacchetti is really his main motivate, or his point is to lean upon his own writing that not even Fulci can pull the rug out from under it, so to speak. And so as we head into the very final act of this film, the final decision will be left to us as a viewer, and that is to decide who's right here. Is it Fulci? Is it Sacchetti? And you know, we all live lives. We know we can see these things unfold before us, I think, and we have our thought processes on what we feel or how we feel about fate. But this is an incredible film in terms of just dealing with that issue and some of the things that happened to her along the way. And as we walk with her, we can see how the part that fate plays and how it plays in our own lives, per se. And so it's a thought provoker. It's a very serious film in terms of a conversation between Lucio and Sacchetti, Dardano, right? It's a serious conversation of really life and this issue of fate, and can we thwart it or can we not? And whether this question is ultimately answered in the end, I think it's probably best said, well, you really have to see it and then internalize it and think yourself, who's right here, Fulci, Sacchetti. Now I have not seen Duckling yet, and I am now just really starting to break into the rest of, slowly but surely, into the rest of Fulci's filmography. I am becoming such, I mean, this guy just probably will never cease to amaze me in terms of what he's created on film. And so slowly but surely, my Fulci collection is going to grow. But the Psychic, and just a really, just a joy. I would like to say that Jennifer O'Neill's character, she may be, and this isn't to speak negative really, but she may be somewhat the weakest character, which is weird because she's the main character and she's at the forefront the most. But there are other characters in the background that do such an incredible job of just bringing their piece to the table. Francesco, for one, I mean, what little time he gets, he is absolutely mind-blowingly amazing. Luca, the character Luca, is absolutely, which is another interesting thing, real quick. It's amazing because I've said before, I think in Cat in the Brain, Lucio Fulci hated psychologists. He hated the art of psychology because he thought it did more harm than good. Yet here is a place where he has put a character into place who is a psychologist and who has some very important things within the plot structure narrative of this film. But the point I think is here is he is a parapsychologist, not just a normal psychologist who lends himself to the weird or to the usually not just taken for granted type thing. He is willing to hear. He's willing to travel with Virginia as she deals with these visions and these things that has happened to her. And so there's a little twist in there in terms of how Lucio really feels in real life and what he's willing to do in film from time to time in terms of these things. So anyways, I'm just going to leave it all out there like that. The Psychic, 1977, again, Scorpion releasing, just a really great, the commentary by Troy Howarth is just amazing. The interview with Sacchetti is just really, really good too. And yeah, so if by some small chance you have never, ever seen this, you really need to see it, and to see a different side of Fulci, outside, of course, the Gates of Hell trilogy, Zombie, and whatnot. And I was just thinking, you know, this would be an awesome double feature with Deep Red. I mean, these two would be great to watch back to back. A little Argento, a little Fulci. So there you go. I'm again your Wednesday night host here at BodyBags, and thank you for tuning in. And man, keep watching everything that's happening in BodyBags. Some good stuff. As always, we leave these things with Go Bills.